सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला।
सिप सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप।
From the Republic Media Network headquarters, it's time for Arnab Goswami on the debate. Arnab Goswami on the debate.
On the show tonight, why Indigo and the chaos only emphasizes the need to act immediately against monopolies, duopolies and oligopolies. At 9 o'clock tonight, how did the Luthra brothers responsible for killing people in Goa get away on an Indigo flight when nobody else could? It's that aha moment, ladies and gentlemen, that aha moment when you realize that the government has finally understood the biggest problem in this country. And what is the biggest problem in this country, ladies and gentlemen? Among others, among many other problems we are facing these days, the falling rupee, the Indigo chaos, the high AQI, is one problem which is at the core of many things in this country. And today the Civil Aviation Minister, Ram Mohan Naidu, had to finally acknowledge what is the core of the problem. The core of the problem, ladies and gentlemen, is monopoly, duopoly, which if unchecked leads to oligopoly. Today, Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu said no airline, however large, will be permitted to cause such hardship to passengers through planning failures, non-compliance or non-adherence to statutory provisions. He said safety is non-negotiable, but that's not the point. The point is this. What the minister is not addressing is, how does one airline become so large? How does it become so arrogant that it takes both the government and the passengers for a ride, and that it refuses to comply with rules set for it by the elected government of India, and that happens only when we have a duopoly or monopoly situation. There are many people who want to avoid the core issue, and the reality is most media houses do not have the guts, G-U-T-S, guts, to talk about the real issue. And the real issue is that the Indigo chaos is a reflection, a manifestation, a symptom of the bigger problem of growing monopolies and duopolies in our great nation, where you, the people of India, will be taken for granted by monopolies and duopolies who are answerable only to their profit margins, because they say we want to amass the entire market. And by amassing the entire market, we'll be more important than the government of India, we'll be more important than the people of India. We will be the rulers of India, and we'll rule because we have a monopoly and a duopoly and an oligopoly, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't this exactly what Republic has been saying since the Air India crash? 272 people died on the 12th of June. And I said then, and I'm saying it now, that Air India was not answerable to the people of India. And I said it then and I'm saying it now. Air India and Indigo control too much of market share. That's why Air India was effectively not answerable. After killing 272 people, they got away. The government was not half as tough with them as they should have been. And the government is not a quarter as tough with Indigo as it should be. Keep the graphics out. Because the chaos and the pain that you have been through in the case of Indigo is an example of what monopolies and duopolies will do to the people of this country. This is the anatomy of monopoly and duopoly. And monopolies, duopolies, oligopolies can break a democratic nation. The government of India should see Indigo as a manifestation of a bigger problem. The government of India should realize its answerabilities to the people of India and not to the people who run the monopolies, duopolies, and oligopolies. Today, this crisis is on the 8th day. But if Indigo has an effective monopoly, then is aviation the only sector where there are silent monopolies that have been built? Or is aviation one of the many sectors where you have a giant problem being built up, but the government is looking the other way? The government saying it's all right, things are working, why should we be concerned? And I'm saying to the government, things are working, but at what price to the people of India? The government is saying the businesses are working, the people shouldn't be concerned. And I'd say to the government, wherever there is a monopoly, wherever there is 1 or 2 or 3 significant sellers, no substitutes, where there are high entry barriers, the government knows that effective or near effective control over supply, pricing and consumer choice is taken by these companies. And then the consumer has nowhere to go. Now, who should the consumer turn to but to the government of India? But the government of India surely is aware. You see, ladies and gentlemen, monopolies do not help market growth. We talk about Viksit Bharat. We cannot have Viksit Bharat without a level playing field. We cannot have Viksit Bharat without all Indians being equal. We cannot have Viksit Bharat without consumers being empowered. Monopolies, duopolies, oligopolies have never helped any market growth. It only concentrates wealth and power in the hands of a few. We keep talking about what Google is doing. I'm sure the government of India is concerned about what Google is doing. In fact, the government of India knows that a couple of years ago, companies like Google were accused by Indian startups of imposing 30+% commission on in-app payments, throttling competition. Dozens of Indian founders had written to the government saying one platform's dominance can decide whether an Indian startup lives or dies. The Competition Commission of India had to launch investigations, court cases followed. But how come we are concerned about Google as a monopoly or a potential monopoly, but not concerned about what's happening within our country? It's a logical question. At some point, someone would ask this question. Would you allow a monopoly in the achar or pickle market? Would you allow a monopoly in the stationery market? Would you allow a monopoly in the textile market? No, the answer is no. Then how do we, would you allow a monopoly in the health sector? Would you allow a monopoly in the pharma sector? Would you allow a monopoly in the dairy sector? Big dairy giants like Amul, I'm told, have 75% of the milk market, 85% of the butter market, 2/3 of the cheese market. We all celebrate. But is that actually good? I'm not sure. What about monopolies and potential monopolies in energy, in aviation, in all other sensitive sectors in this country? Ladies and gentlemen, we are for the free market. The free market cannot allow the concentration of wealth and power. It defeats competition. It undermines the very essence of a free market. Should the government do more to end monopolies? Absolutely. Because without strict regulation and without conscious regulation, without the bureaucrats of our country doing conscious regulation, without the bureaucrats of our country coming together with strategic thinkers and thinking 20 years ahead. Will a monopoly in this sector be good, that sector be good, that sector be good? You can't be status quoist. If we are going to be Viksit Bharat, we can't be Viksit Bharat in our thinking, but status quoist in our actions. We cannot. If we want to look the other way, it's our choice. But the Indigo example tells us that monopolies, duopolies, oligopolies quietly dictate prices. They dictate quality. And they dictate consumer choice. And then they start dictating to the elected government of 1.5 billion people. Just imagine how dangerous this is for the common man. I know that the rest of the media will not ask this question. But are monopolies dangerous to the common man? Let there be a public national debate on this. Absolutely, undeniably, they inflate costs, they reduce options, and they often exploit consumers. Should the Parliament of India intervene to stop monopolies? Should the Government of India and the Parliament of India work together if the regulatory bodies have failed? Yes, because lawmakers must act decisively to prevent complete or near complete market dominance from harming citizens and small businesses. Imagine two companies come together and do a pricing mechanism which impacts everyone in the country. People don't have a choice. People can't stop consuming, so they will accept the prices that are being offered to them. Tell me, ladies and gentlemen, Air India, because it is owned by Tata, can go to the government and effectively ask for subsidies and closure of losses incurred due to Pakistan airspace closure. Now, this morning I was told that Donald Trump said that why is Indian rice being dumped in American markets? Now, Donald Trump is taking a decision based upon a strategic global situation of which an Indian rice exporter will probably be impacted. The Indian rice farmer will be impacted. Can an Indian rice farmer go to the government of India and say, well, you know, strategic things globally are impacting me, please give me subsidies, subsidize my losses? They can't, but Air India can. Is this fair? I am only for the principle of what is fair and what is not fair. I ask you today, regardless of whether you are BJP, Congress, AAP, left or any party, are monopolies good? Ladies and gentlemen, we talk of a startup culture. Are monopolies for India's startup culture? Giants control markets. Giants will deal with political parties. New ventures, entrepreneurship will struggle to survive or scale. Dominant players, near-dominant players will block innovation, discourage risk-taking, absorb talent. Because unable to build, they will try to buy. Does this help India's startup culture? The government should start thinking now. I believe there should be a national debate on monopolies and near monopolies. The government should be promoting startups, not monopolies. Policies, incentives, protections can level the playing field, nurture innovation. You see, the aviation mess is a manifestation of the growing problem of monopolies in India. One company has 60% market share. Two companies have 90% market share. I ask you tonight, ask yourself, is aviation the only such sector? Or are monopolies, duopolies and oligopolies emerging in other sectors as well? And what is the responsibility of the government of India to stop this? Should all critical sectors not be protected from monopolies? Absolutely. Healthcare, aviation, energy, essentials cannot be left to corporate dominance. Should the government do more to protect citizens from monopolies? Absolutely. Pricing oversight, consumer rights, legal frameworks are not to be mentioned in technicality, you see, viewers. Because if you ask the bureaucracy of India, if you ask the politicians of India, even if you ask the ruling government of India, do you have a problem with monopolies? They'll say, no, nothing. But then I ask them tonight, if there is nothing, what was the Indigo case? Now apply the Indigo duopoly case study into other sectors and ask yourself, should an anti-monopoly commission be set up in India. I am for all good debates. One nation, one poll, uniform civil code are radical changes this country needs. But let me add a third to it. Let me add a third to it, and let this be debated nationally. Should there be an anti-monopoly commission? Should the Prime Minister of India appoint an anti-monopoly commission, anti-duopoly commission, anti-oligopoly commission that at an incipient level identifies where the risks of such trends are emerging in our so-called free market economy and understands the long-term sociological risks, political risks, economic risks, strategic risks of too much authority in a few hands? We must have a dedicated anti-monopoly commission that can monitor, investigate, curb at an incipient and latent level market dominance due to monopolistic behavior. It is not for the government to be defensive and say, well, you know, it's market economics that there are one or two companies. No, it's not market economics. It is not market economics. It is various factors. And it is the responsibility of the government and the advisors to the government to say, Indigo is a manifestation of a bigger problem. Human beings inherently in economic activity will look for their personal interest. It is for the government of India to look for national interest. Republic believes only in one thing, national interest. And I hope that you support what I am saying today. If for no other reason, because I think it should make absolute sense to all of us. We are all vested in the nation. And the nation is for all. Let's debate.
For the first time ever, the Government of India was forced to acknowledge the tyranny of monopolies and duopolies in the country.
Through our policies, we are encouraging more new airlines to start and operate in India, ensuring fair access to airport capacity and eliminating any possibility of duopoly, controlling connectivity and pricing in our skies. More airlines mean more choice, more affordability, and more resilience for the passengers.
The Civil Aviation Minister's statement is not just an acknowledgement, but an admission. The Indigo mess is just one manifestation of the threat of monopolies and duopolies. While Indigo controlling over 60% market share has exposed the fault lines in the power monopolistic players can exert on regulators, other sectors are not behind. In telecom, two companies control 80% of the subscriber share. In FMCG sectors like milk, in the organized sector, big cooperative brands have breached the 75% mark. In defense, India has understood the need to diversify from Russia, bringing down imports from 70% to 36%. But shouldn't all critical sectors be protected from monopolies? Is it time for the Parliament to intervene? In an attempt to trip down Indigo in the wake of the crisis, the DGCA today reduced its flight operations by 10%. But will this be enough for an airline that has monopoly over 600 routes in the nation? The crisis of predatory and non-predatory monopolies and duopolies is real. Is it time for Parliament to step in and go more for startups and citizens?
Ladies and gentlemen, you can't have a situation where monopolies are the practice and startups are the ornament. Startups cannot be the ornamental part of our country's business if the effective reality is growing monopolies, duopolies, and oligopolies. And I would only begin with a very humble statement that Indigo case should make the Government of India wake up. What was the government doing till now? It didn't realize it has allowed a duopoly. You will say that, oh, you got small players, small aviation players in insignificant areas, part of the Udan scheme, so that you can show that you got so many airlines. So one small player flying somewhere in Northeast on one route is adding to your sense of diversity. But the commercially big routes are all for Indigo, Air India, let them take the money, let them make the money. But dikhane ke liye we'll show some small airline somewhere. It's like, you know, you will have the entire Indian major sectors, you know, run by big giant companies, but dikhane ke liye you will show one startup here, one startup there, one startup here. Not good for the country. I'd like to start with those defending the government. Sushil Kedia, Lokesh Jindal, Satya Kumar and Sanjay Kumar of the JDU. And on the other side tonight, Captain Anil Rao is General Secretary of the Airline Pilots Association, Santosh Mehrotra, economist, Faizan Kidwai of the Samajwadi Party and Somnath Bharti of the Aam Aadmi Party. Okay, who do we start with? Lokesh, is the government not seeing the problem? Indigo was a reflection of the growing monopoly-duopoly problem in India. Agree or disagree?
Absolutely not, Arnab. There was a time when we had a lot of budget airlines in the country. And over a period of time, we saw that there was an exit by other airlines because of various factors. There was aviation, turbine fuel, and moreover, Rule 137. It requires DGCA to put a cap and rationalize the rates that are charged by the airlines to make sure that the consumer interests are not compromised. Now, your entire argument, Arnab, over here is that the government must introduce some form of a cap with respect to the market share, some form of a scheme, because right now we do not have any form of an entry barrier. See, monopoly is when the government introduces some form of entry barriers.
No, government will not introduce. Lokesh, when two companies form a duopoly, they will introduce an entry barrier at some point of time or the other because of their cannibalistic nature. It's not the government. No, I want to wait. One minute. Santosh Mehrotra, he's saying, so what if two companies dominate everything? The government has not introduced an entry barrier for smaller players to come in. My argument is, if two companies control 80+%, there is no room for a smaller player.
No. This is
Santosh Mehrotra.
Absolutely right. Your response was absolutely right to this gentleman. The government is not going to put any barriers. It's the two biggest players who are going to put barriers. It is obvious that that's what they are going to do. But I think you're absolutely right that this country has seen a failure of the Competition Commission of India. Yeah, let's just look back at what we used to have in the License Permit Raj period. We used to have the MRTP, the Monopoly and Restrictive Trade Practices Act, and that proved to be a failure and that was done away with. So we don't want to go back to the period of License Permit Raj on the one hand. However, the last 35 years have clearly shown a growing concentration, and I can name the sectors in which the concentration, as you were rightly pointing out, has been growing. Telecoms, you've already mentioned. I think cement has to be mentioned. Steel has to be mentioned. Tires has to be mentioned. FMCG has to be mentioned. E-commerce has to be mentioned. And of course, in the renewable sector, we now have the big boys. The Godi Seths are very much there. So we have seen a massive concentration of manufacturing and in the broad industry sector. And the Competition Commission of India, I'm sorry to say, which has been in existence, has been a miserable failure. If that had not been a miserable failure, we wouldn't be where we are. But let's just go back to the airline sector and why we got to where we have gotten to. Clearly, the government and its regulator was failing while it was enabling and allowing one player to reach mammoth proportions. In a growing economy and a growing aviation sector, we had Indigo capturing 65%, not 60%, 65% of the market share. So the recent action after the extremely poor behavior of Indigo, they're saying, oh, we are sorry in full-page advertisements, just doesn't do it for anyone. The fact of the matter is, there has to be another commission now which either replaces the Competition Commission or we decide to strengthen the teeth of the Competition Commission of India, because the Competition Commission has essentially become yet another court in India.
No, why did the Competition Commission not look at this Indigo monopoly, for example, which raises a question, how many other such monopolies would it not have looked at? Would it not have looked at?
It should have, and that's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing with you. No,
so,
obviously.
So how is all this happening? One minute. Sushil, will we become Vikasit Bharat or Monopoly Bharat?
Arnab, I beg your permission that I need 2 minutes to lay out the debate better.
Bharat.
See, it seems like a very prejudiced debate right from the beginning. First, the historical facts. In last 100 years of aviation, name how many companies in this world have survived as a big airline for a long period of time. Airlines inherently is a very volatile, unstable business, and survivability of airlines is low. Point number one. Point number two.
Changing on the left.
If there is a duopoly which is causing this, if there's duopoly which is causing this, even the airlines did not collude to create this crisis. So duopoly.
You think Indigo? You think Indigo would have the guts if they did not have a monopoly situation? What are you saying?
No.
You think Indigo is a charitable organization? Did the government allow it or not allow it?
Existence of duopolies is definitely another problem.
How many other duopolies are there in India?
But this crisis.
I am asking tonight that will you allow a monopoly even in the manufacture of pencils? No. But all the critical sectors which have been mentioned by Santosh Mehrotra, can you deny there are monopolies and duopolies working?
Altogether. That's a separate point altogether.
No. Why are there monopolies growing in this country? Why does the government not do enough in an incipient stage to stop monopolies?
We cannot rule out possibilities of some intense conspiracy in this. See, Gangwal, one of the core promoters, sold out 50,000 crores worth of his stock.
I don't care about conspiracy theories, Faizan. Faizan, I am on a fundamental issue. See, I am very happy if you think all the monopoly players are growing to make a lot of money. All of you people will invest in the markets and then you'll make money. But it's for a small part of people. I am speaking for the large majority of Indians. The large monopoly is a situation where one company, two company, or a cartel of companies dominates or controls a significant share of a particular industry. Right? Then there is not enough choice for the consumer or the Aam Aadmi or the voter. Voter to politician samajh jayenge na? Then that monopolistic entity has substantial market power, allowing them to influence market conditions. Sometimes these companies become more powerful than the government of India.
Correct, they are.
We have to be very careful about how did Indigo dare to do this?
I'll tell you, Mr. Goswami.
Faizan is on the debate. Are we supposed not to ask questions? Are we supposed not to ask questions?
Let me respond, sir. You said something, let me rebut kindly. First of all, you said, Mr. Goswami, that this seems a very biased debate. So unfortunately, the only thing biased here is the government's attitude towards Indigo. The airlines is playing with the lives of ordinary citizens. No, don't speak in between. Ordinary citizens, but the government doesn't care. Mr. Goswami, you very rightly pointed out the Indian aviation sector is not only suffering from duopoly, but monopoly also. There's an Indian Express report. I was reading it today. Out of the 950 routes on which Indigo operates, 63% of them it has complete monopoly.
Sushil!
And 21%.
Big fight tonight! Open the lines!
So this leaves only 16% for other players. This
open the lines!
Destroys the level playing field. Why is the government doing that? Maybe because of the 11 crores.
You got to explain how do you explain this bias towards Indigo?
From these aviation sector. And sir, I just want to pinpoint this, that every pro-government individual who's coming here, first of all, BJP individuals are not showing up. They are pushing their alliance partners to get humiliated. So it's very sharp of Bharatiya Janata Party to the alliance partners. Sir, you people have been made the scapegoats. Unfortunate for you. So, Mr.
This is again a statement born out of dirty politics.
Open the lines!
There should be high level of
open the lines!
And
a very uncivic remark.
Regulator cannot decide accountability. Now, would you please tell me, I am reading This is an Economic Times report. Kindly, gentlemen, you support Bharatiya Janata Party, please tell me. There was standing committee report which was tabled in March 2025. It told the government and warned the government that aviation ecosystem is collapsing, moving towards a critical inflection point. Work fast. Make rules for the pilots because they are getting overworked, and even ATCs, which has increased the risk of runway incursions, ground collisions, airborne conflicts. What does the government do? The DGCA doesn't implement the FDTL rules as it was supposed to. It allows the airlines to do whatever it feels like. And also should be noted, the committee also, Mr. Goswami should know, that it flagged serious regulatory gaps in high mountain flying regions like Himalayan regions. It said, imagine, Mr. Goswami, all the pilots who are flying in these mountain regions, they do not have mandatory flying certification. They are flying without certification, risking the lives of the passengers. Who should be held responsible?
No, we have this view today. We have this growing view today. Faizan, I'll put it in terms that bankers like to use. A small farmer can commit suicide. Nothing happens. A kirana shop owner or a small electronics retailer can collapse if the input price gets affected. Nothing happens. But Indigo must not fail. Air India must not fail because they are too big to fail. The Anil Ambani rule, ladies and gentlemen. What did the consortium of banks say in the case of Anil Ambani? Oh, they are too big. And what did the Anil Ambani group? Today we are told that Anil Ambani's son has a case against him. And I asked, what was the government doing till a few years back in the Anil Ambani case? Did they not know? 1 minute, Satya. In the Anil Ambani case, Anil Ambani got legal recommendations from former chief justices saying no problem. And the government said no problem. And they dared to say that if we fall, the capital markets will be affected. We are too big to fail. The farmer, you see, Satya, is too small for anyone to care about. The farmer who commits suicide, the retailer who will be impacted. The small startup who is told failure should be our biggest learning. We tell the small startup there is honor in failure. But we tell the big monopoly company, you must never fail because you are too big to fail. How fair is that? How fair is that? How fair is that, I ask tonight? How fair is that for the people of India? Satya.
Arnab, government never ever promote monopoly. It is open for any
they happen on their own
sector, any player to come to sector. But the question is who has a capital? Who will plow the capital into the sector?
So why do you question Google? Why does the government question Google? Why does the government question Google? Google is bad, but Indian monopolies are good. Foreign monopolies are bad, but Indian monopolies are a sign of a growing Indian economy. Come on, Satya.
The sector requires a capital which is huge. So accordingly, only few players can participate.
Faizan. Oh, okay. Somnath
has tried its hands and burnt the capital here, so they transfer the entire Air India.
And that's why the banks offer the capital to Anil Ambani.
Arnab,
that's why the banks offer the loans to Anil Ambani.
Arnab,
what are you saying?
Arnab,
I know my name.
With respect to Anil Ambani,
I know my name. Answer my question. Why did we not catch Anil Ambani earlier?
Arnab.
I know my name. I know my name. Don't keep saying Arnab. I'm asking a question here tonight. What is going on, Satya? Don't defend the indefensible.
No, definitely the monopoly is not promoted by the Modi government.
I'm saying monopolies happened on their own. The circumstances in our country are such. We are the thriving. We have the right ecosystem for developing monopolies.
Is set to grow.
Oh, okay. Like they said at one time, like they said there is a lot of pain. No. You know what they said about Gandhiji? They said, everyone on, You know what they said about Gandhiji? It takes a lot of money to keep Gandhi poor. My question tonight is this, that who were they not monopolies at that time who were controlling Indian business, who were funding the Congress party before independence? I'm asking you tonight a fundamental question. Monopolies are not coming from thin air.
Arnab,
Is Indigo not a manifestation of a monopoly, I say?
It happens because they are efficient and they raise. So accordingly, we need to bring more companies into the sector.
Oh,
so
we have to
who
bring
has the
more
capital
companies.
has to
We have to
enter?
bring more companies. Okay. Which company?
The government is trying its best to open up the sector.
Which companies?
Come in, please. Arnab,
Which companies would you like to bring into the
sector?
sector?
In this sector.
No, which
Kingfisher was a
companies would you
failure.
like to, their interest to
Jet
grow in the
Airways is a
sector?
failure
Which sector?
in the sector.
Which companies would you like to bring in? Please tell me.
Kingfisher, Jet Airways.
Oh, you want to bring
It
back
was all
Vijay
in the
Mallya,
Congress
everyone on. You
government.
want to bring back Vijay Mallya into the sector.
It was all in the Congress government. All these licenses are provided not with those companies which are performing.
I just
effectively.
feel that government of India should be concerned about monopolies are anti-people. Somnath Bharti. Somnath Bharti, please, of the AAP.
Arnab, I was listening very patiently, and let me say it with complete responsibility, that this Indigo fiasco is just the tip of the iceberg. And that's what you have been hinting at. And this is not limited to aviation sector. What is to be noticed now across all sectors in our nation is witnessing the same phenomenon. Let us take this, your aviation sector itself, Indigo and Air India, forming almost 92% of the business in the aviation sector, in the domestic sector. Telecom, you only have Jio and Airtel. UPI, you only have PhonePe and Google Pay forming 86% of the market. E-commerce, you have Amazon and Flipkart. Food delivery, Zomato and Swiggy. You have, and then to top it all, what do you have? Ports, airports, logistics, and whatnot.
Everyone change.
That is monopoly of Adani Enterprises. Then you have taxi, Uber, Ola, retail, even cement has gone to Adani. And Arnab, to top it all, your media, only 4 to 5 corporate houses today control the narrative on the TV. That what will be discussed, whether this is going to be discussed or not, please stop it. Don't intervene.
Sir, get your
He's angry now. Full fight. Talk about the top end. Bosses.
Across the media, you hardly have any competition. 3-4 players.
Do you even know the meaning of monopoly?
It is not about license.
Getting distorted.
Digital news advertising.
Have you ever read
Google and Meta. So where is the competition?
I am just saying tonight, 1 minute. Lokesh, I say this.
Oversight kamzor.
Lokesh, see, one monopoly company, the danger of monopolies today is such that I have had huge revelations from Indigo case.
What I see, it's all in thin air. Corporate-centered business is being created by BJP. Public is being neglected day in, day out. No, as you said, a small kirana shopkeeper dies, nobody cares. But if Indigo fails, the government is standing by them. If Reliance fails, government is standing by them. So
never government stood on the side of Indigo. Never government stood on the side of Indigo.
The mighty.
Satya!
Immediately DGC has issued a notice.
You are on your knees.
Satya!
To Indigo.
It's on the knees.
Where did the government stand on the side of Indigo? It is a wrong narrative that you are setting.
BJP government has shown.
This government never stood on the side of Indigo. Government stood on the side of the people. They issued a notice immediately. Unlike the Congress government.
All safety standards. Public is at risk today. Air India.
This sector as a strategic investment. Government has burnt money in the past.
Reason?
The Congress had did all the blunder. And now we are talking about safety standard. Now this government is regulating, trying to push the private sector in the aviation sector.
No, today, I wish to make one point. You see, one point. Satya, Satya, today is a very big acknowledgement by the central government, the Modi government, of the duopoly in the aviation sector. When the civil aviation minister stands up and he says, we will eliminate any possibility of duopoly, to the civil aviation minister, I would tell you, it's not a possibility, it is a reality. If you put blinkers on or you're pretending to be blind, Mr. Minister, it's not my fault. But the fact is there is a duopoly. Today, we'll be told if a telecom company collapses, airline company collapses, the government will be forced to intervene. I will give you the words of Manmohan Singh. 1 minute. When I ran Times Now, there was a sequence when Manmohan Singh was coming back from a foreign trip. And somebody showed me that clip. I'll tell you a story. When Manmohan Singh is explaining to people why he needs to help Vijay Mallya, because he says that it's a critical sector. If it collapses, people will be affected. So we are told that if a major telecom or airline company nears collapse, the government is forced to intervene, restructure dues, relax norms and offer relief. But the dominant company can threaten job losses, threaten service disruption, threaten market instability, threaten financial contagion, threaten political embarrassment, threaten harming the people of India. Are we a democracy? These are significant questions, Sanjay.
No, we are not.
No, we cannot say today, if we are an effective democracy, we can't say we'll give subsidies to the people. We'll give them Manrega, we'll give them subsidies, we'll give them a pre-election subsidy, let them be happy, let the poor people be happy, let us give them free ration. But we'll allow 2 companies to run critical sectors.
This is not the first time, Mr. Goswami, that certain companies are having things their way.
No, first time or second time, I don't care, but it's bad, no, Faizan?
Right. Of course, this is very unfortunate, the way this monopoly and duopoly has...
I'm saying today we have chaos in aviation, tomorrow God knows which sector it will happen in.
Rather than apologizing on behalf of the government, if you are here on behalf of the government, you should understand the misery of ordinary citizens, what they are facing right now. They are stranded at the airports. Sir, you just try and understand, there might be a student who might be going to appear for an exam. Somebody might be going for a visa application. Somebody might be going...
Captain Anil Rao...
Somebody might be going to
yes, Sanjay. Sanjay of JDU.
We are very much saddened with the situation, what has happened, the Indigo fiasco, what has happened, and the trouble faced by the people, by the flyers. We are really very, it's a very unfortunate situation for the entire country, not only for the government. But as a government, I think government is trying to get deeper into the issue, and even the DGCA and the ministry and even the parliamentary committee now. I think each part of the government is getting deeper into the issue, trying to understand the real problem. The minister has given a statement. It's not that government is supporting one company or monopoly. It's having free having existence of multiple companies is important, and that is why CCI has been created, and CCI has certain roles, and then there are other bodies. So it's very unfortunate what has happened, but government is trying its best to do...
Are you saying Competition Commission of India is effective?
It has to be.
Has to be. Are you saying it is effective?
It has to be,
has to be means what? Is it effective? So see, Sanjay, today, nobody is being able to answer the straight question. I'm saying this is bad for people of India. Should the Modi government do more?
Of course. For the rights of the people of India.
Only thing is, in other monopolies are not so visible, but they are there. In aviation, the monopoly became very visible. The people are getting harassed in other areas also. But they are not in an airport, they are not fighting, they are not jostling for their luggage, so you pretend they are not there.
But if you look at, Arnab, if you look at consumer grievance redressal mechanism, the government has
What is the personal liability from CCI on CEOs or promoters? What is the collection of penalties since 2011? 96% of penalties remain unpaid. CCI has powers to investigate cartels, but has it actually done that? How long do CCI investigations take? Satya? Sushil? What did CCI do about the aviation monopoly?
There is a due process of law.
A due process of law?
One simple...
Sushil, I can't see him, yeah.
Simple point I want to make. There's only one simple point I want to make.
Notice on Indigo. I don't deny a fact. There has to be regulation on the aviation sector, especially after this episode, where the government is trying to do its best.
Satya, listen to me. I'll make up the regulatory toolkit. Sushil, everyone on. The regulatory toolkit of 2000 cannot handle the algorithmic capitalism of 2025. People are suffering. People are suffering. People, you want me to open the lines? People are suffering a lot. Political parties will realize after some time they've got a shock this time because of Indigo. I want to go to Captain Anil Rao. He'll tell us how the monopolies are being misused by Indigo. He said today in a letter, he's president of the powerful Airline Pilots Association. He's secretary, general secretary. He said that, selective treatment is being given to Indigo. You can be brutally frank with us. How is the government giving selective treatment to Indigo, sir?
Thank you very much, Arnab. With the little short time I have got here to talk here, I think it is little misunderstood about our statement. It is not about monopoly or selectively giving dispensation to Indigo. The dispensations have been given to all operators,
that's
but
not the name.
depending upon what they had got that. If you see how the dispensation was given or how the FDTL was implemented, it was implemented in many phases. Many phases implementation itself was a dispensation given. Then when the phase 2 came, dispensations were given beyond the FDTL car phase 2, which was the revision 2, and operators had applied or given their requirement for dispensations, where this whole catastrophic, huge, massive a disruption has happened because of the dispensation not going well with a particular airline. It's not about being monopoly or being a duopoly. It's about this could have happened any which ways. Now, had this thing was not happened, because as they say, they claim that there was a miscalculation, which we doubt, because all these schedules are pre-planned and given for approval to the DGCA, and then only they are implemented. Now, coming to the point that what we are saying is, if you are giving dispensation to one organization or one operator, then what is the harm giving to the dispensation for other operators in the future?
But that is the point. No, you are all monopolies, sir. It is about monopolies. Let me disagree with you, because this kind of special treatment is only given to players with a big amount of market dominance. They begin to have unnatural say over the regulator. Nobody wants the truth in our country. Now we have a nationalist collective member who's calling tonight. Should I open up the phone lines? We have N. Srinivas from Chennai. A lot of people calling tonight. All I want to do tonight is I want to give the people of this country a voice on the issue of monopolies, of monopolies, which are extremely unfair. I have Gurbir Khera. He's a professor and he's a nationalist collective member. He's a chartered financial analyst by profession. Tell me, sir, what do you think about the growing trend? I said that Indigo is a manifestation of the monopoly trend in India.
So thanks for the privilege, Arnab. You are really the pride of the common man, or India or nation wants to know whatever. You are doing such a great work. We all know it. But government got to be proactive. The worst part is that I don't know why they have that superiority complex. They don't come and accept their mistake and improve upon it. It's a simple thing. I don't know why they're defending themselves. Even I was coming by a flight. Thank God I was not that time flying back to Delhi. There have to be something there. Regulation should be strict. Duopoly should be broken. Even I was discussing today itself with my students. I am teaching at Fastima at the moment. Even they were with you. We had our own debate in our classroom. Something has to be done.
Can we start an anti-monopoly movement? Can we start an anti-monopoly movement?
They have to get the new players or whatever.
Should there be an anti-monopoly movement in India, Faizan?
No,
yes, sir.
Somnath?
For sure. Nobody should get favors. Everybody should get a level playing field. And if there's an organization which should be held accountable, and if there's a regulator which is controlled by the government, if the regulator fails, the government should be held accountable. If there is an industry which fails, the industry should also be held accountable.
Aviation is not the only monopoly situation, you know it.
People have to make sure
know which act is preventing a level playing field.
Time has come to
Please tell me one provision which is not giving a level playing field in aircraft sector.
Okay, one minute. Faizan is asking you a question. Faizan, Lokesh is asking you a question. Ask the question.
Faizan, I want to know. Tell me one.
Faizan, Lokesh asking a question. I'm allowing it.
Ask you a question.
Faizan,
Lokesh, I'm asking you a question.
One act,
kindly listen
one
to me.
policy which is preventing a level playing field.
Let's not talk about politics.
Sir, please listen to me.
Lokesh,
Listen to me.
2 years,
Listen to me.
Why weren't
Listen
these
to me.
rules implemented?
Listen to me first,
Why
please.
was Indigo given
Please, let me ask the
because
question.
this directly
Let me ask the
jeopardizes
question.
the safety of the passengers.
Can you tell me
the standing
one
committee
provision,
has
one
already
policy
tabled the
measure
report.
that
What was
is
stopping
not
the
allowing a
government
level
from
playing
ensuring
field?
that
We have improved our ranking on the ease of doing business.
It had
We have allowed 100%
to
FDI in the aviation
its
sector.
workforce.
We have
Why did
allowed
Indigo do
all
that?
forms
And
of...
please kindly answer, the DGCA itself is understaffed. DGCA should have 1,063 staff members. It is running with 553. That means 510 short. When the DGCA itself is running short on staff, how could we expect that the regulator will question the airlines and ensure that the safety protocols are followed?
Regulator has now issued a show cause notice. The government cannot function as per the whims and fancies because it has to function as per the due process. They issued a show cause notice, and definitely Competition Commission of India exercising the abuse of dominant position, the Indigo, whatever the problem that they have created, the challenge that they have created.
I once broke a story. Let me tell you one thing, sir. One minute. Let me mention a story. Let me mention a case. When I was editor-in-chief of and the founder of Times Now, I broke a story called the Devas ISRO scam. And then there was a press conference by Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, and Prime Minister Manmohan Singh asked me what is the problem, and I asked a question. And I wish I could play that clip. I think that clip is still there. Can I run the clip? Can someone run the old clip where I asked the Prime Minister the question? The Prime Minister said, what is the problem? I said, Mr. Prime Minister, at every level, it is the same group of people who are giving the clearances. Statutory clearances for one company and one decision of government are being given by the same bunch of individuals and same company. It is like saying the same company is the judge, jury and executioner in a commercial decision. This particular news report shook the foundations of the Manmohan Singh government. I'm not fibbing. I'll show you the clip. I have fought monopolies, and I fought the then Prime Minister of India, Manmohan Singh, on the issue of monopolies and the Devas ISRO scam. At that time, the BJP used to come and clap. Arnab is saying the right thing, right thing. Today, if I'm talking about monopolies, I'll become a bad guy. You all know this. I'll run the clip. Please think about what has happened in Indigo in the context of the Devas ISRO scam, Sushil.
Arnab?
No. That was cartelization. I fought it.
So Arnab, let's ask one question here. A critical question to everybody who's just baying for the blood of the government.
I'm not baying for the blood of the government. I am asking, a monopoly is good. Should the government not do more? Is that baying for blood?
Anybody who's angry at this current situation, why don't you spell out, these are the things I want the government to do?
Are you saying questions should no longer be asked?
No, I'm not at all saying that. I'm saying what are the answers? What do you think the government
expect corporate media to ask these questions or Republic to ask these questions?
Asking these questions is called gunning for.
Do you expect corporate media to ask these questions?
The way you think is pathetic.
Everybody currently in a state of jingoism should answer.
What is jingoism?
Everybody is wrong.
Yes.
I am sorry.
You have the clip.
You are a pro-government lobby.
How long is it?
Airlines lobby. And you are here to...
One minute. Can I run a clip? One minute.
Government happy.
I tell you one thing. I tell you one thing. There is poor video quality in the next clip I'm going to play. Everyone on. I'll tell you one thing. The party in power may have changed. I have not changed. I'll show you the clip of the same question. Nature of question I asked the then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. Somnath Bharti listened to this question in the context of the Devas Isro scam. It was at the press conference where the question was then to the Prime Minister of India. Please hear this.
These letters, they had no impact whatsoever on the processing of the case. On the contrary, PMO followed up its verbal reminders to the Department of Space by sending a letter to the Department of Space in October 2010 seeking a status of follow-up of the decision taken by the Space Commission in its July 2010 meeting. The matter was never raised by the German Minister of Foreign Affairs during his meetings with me in New Delhi on 18th October. I think some people have reported that German Foreign Minister raised it with me. There is no, I think, such meeting. The meeting did take place, but he never mentioned anything. It is a fact that meetings did take place between Devas and officials of the Department and spectrum having regard to the country's strategic requirement. I would like to mention that although the Space Commission...
The exact byte, but I remember the date February 16, 2011. That was Prime Minister Manmohan Singh answering my question. I'll play the question also. Somnath Bharti, these are the questions on the basis of which India Against Corruption got formed. So monopoly has been a big controversy in this country politically also, hasn't it?
No, I do remember. Basically, see, at least that time there was a transparency. There was an accountability. Somebody was answering, responding to your questions. Today you'll be blacked out. The moment you ask questions, you'll be blacked out. There could be an action against you. The problem is, this government is not people-centric. The government needs to be people-centric, not the corporate-centric. What is happening?
Sushil.
And the policy,
Just because the Indigo episode, don't say this government is
does
not
not come in envelopes of cash.
Sushil, can I play that other clip? 1 minute. Now here's the question in the context of monopolies asked in 2011. Please listen to this question to the Prime Minister in 2011, please. Please hear this question. This is the question asked then.
Monopolies and duopolies.
Hear this.
Note for the cabinet from the department.
And now we know that they were still in backroom talks with the same blacklisted company till a few weeks back. In that context, Mr. Prime Minister, there are people who are in the know about a scam of a deal. They delayed action in the deal, and they continued some backroom talks, and we were told these talks are normal. Mr. Prime Minister, is it normal to continue backroom talks with a blacklisted company in a scam like this?
There have been no backroom talks. I think I have not met
the governmental monopoly of decision making in the context of the Antrix Devas deal. Are we not expected to ask strong questions now? After Indigo?
Let us also try to find out the answers, and then we know which questions are relevant.
Don't give me systemic solutions.
The simple question to ask is, what do we want the government to do?
We want the government to act against monopolies.
In this entire episode.
Act against monopolies or discipline them?
Well, regulate them.
Prime Minister has
Stop them.
So see, this DGCA is a second regulator apart from the Competition
You think the
Commission.
DGCA is independent in this country? You think the DGCA has been doing a good job?
Technical aspects
or is the DGCA is working to promote certain corporate interests?
How can we allege that corporate interests have been promoted?
How can we allege? We can ask questions. What, we are a democracy? We can't ask questions anymore.
We can ask questions. We can make any statement.
Yeah, we can ask questions, but nobody is answerable.
But they need to be backed with some data.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm taking a break tonight. On the other side, how irresponsible is it that some authorities allowed the fugitive Luthra brothers to fly out after killing more than 25 people in the Goa fire tragedy? An unbelievable story of how corruption kills. When I'm back.
Time for a quick breather.
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।